What is up, homies? My name is Felix, and I'm here back again with another video for you all today. And today in this video, we're going to be taking a look at Simon Servida's new plugin, hand-delivered to me by Mr. Servida himself. So yeah, shout out to my guy, Simon Servida. The plugin is called RETROGRADE, and if you don't know what it is, this is basically what it does. Hold on. So yeah, basically takes your samples and then reverses them and then flips the chords that they're in the right order. Because let's say your sample starts with a C chord. When you reverse that, the C chord is now going to be at the end and all the other chords are going to be flip-flopped. So the plugin basically just takes those chords and puts them in the right order that they were before they reversed, but in reversed form. I know that's a little confusing, but you guys will see it in action in just a second here. So yeah, make sure you guys check out my Instagram and my SoundCloud down in the description below, along with the playlist of songs I've produced, my beat store, my Discord, all that stuff you guys already know. Also go to feezostore.com to cop the freshest merch on the planet. So yeah, now we can get into this video. Alright, so here's what the plugin looks like. As I mentioned, it's called RETROGRADE, and there's basically a left and a right knob, which as you can probably imagine, control the left and the right sides when you reverse it. And when you adjust these knobs, it basically lets you choose the amount that you want to reverse your sample by. So if you want to do it by like half of a bar, or like a quarter of a bar, or any other variation of that. And then there's a mix knob, which lets you adjust how loud the original sample is, as opposed to how loud the reversed sample is. And then as you can see, there's a little EQ here as well. And then there's three little buttons up here. The first one links the left and right channels together. So if it's like that, they'll be off. This one is ping pong, which basically makes it go from one ear to the other. And then this knob turns ducking on or off, which basically just like lowers and raises the volume. I'm not going to pretend that I know how it works, but it just... And then there's also a couple presets in here, which we're going to mess around with in a minute. And then there's an undo and redo knob, which I think is pretty cool. And I think more like other complex plugins should have that, because honestly, this isn't really a plugin where I feel like I would need that a whole lot, but for some other plugins, it definitely would come in handy. And then there's also a power button. So yeah, now that you're familiar with the whole interface, let's put this thing on a sample. So this is how just the default preset sounds in the sample. It just adds some pretty cool ambience to it, because at the end of the sample I have like a little sine lead thing, and it's really just reversing that part and adding like just a little spice on top. But what happens if we turn up these subdivision knob things? And then I'm also going to turn the mix up to like 100%. One thing I've noticed, I'm not exactly sure why it does it, but it doesn't activate right away, so it'll just play this normally. And then it starts reversing, which is kind of weird, but then these chords will be fine. So I think if I have the plugin on an already reversed sample, it's basically just going to take the sample and make it regular again. For the most part. But honestly, I think the plugin is more for adding like cool effects and stuff rather than trying to do whatever weird technical stuff I'm trying to do right now. So anyways, let's look at some of these presets. So the preset called Mercury basically just adds a little fluttery kind of effect in there. It sounds like this. I know I'm missing something here because this one is in milliseconds and all the other ones are in fractions. So I'm trying to figure out where I go to like turn one of these presets into milliseconds. Oh, never mind, I figured it out. So basically the sync button means tempo sync. So if you turn that off, then you can adjust by individual little milliseconds there. Anyways, here's how this Saturn preset sounds. A little bit of a low cut there, and it's doing some ping pong action. This Jupiter preset is basically just reversing the whole thing. And there's a pretty intense low pass filter on that thing. The Neptune preset is basically the same thing, except for there's no filter on it. And then this Pluto preset has got this thing going on. The left and the right are at different subdivisions, so it's kind of like bouncing back and forth a little bit. So yeah, honestly, the preset's pretty lackluster, but it's not like you're really getting the plugin for the presets on this one. But enough talk with samples. You guys have already seen what it does to a sample. Now it's time for me to try this out on a variety of other things. When you put it on your whole beat, it basically does what you'd expect it to do. It reverses it. But when you turn on the ducking thing, it has a really interesting effect, actually. It it like almost drops in there for a second, and I can definitely see this being used for some interesting drops and effects and stuff. Like actually, let me see if I can, so the retro plugin combined with the tape stop effect actually sounds pretty cool. Pretty cool effect there, if I do say so myself. Also, I could imagine another really cool effect would be this plugin combined with halftime. Probably would sound really cool. Let's just try it out. Obviously that right there would be a super fire outro for a song or something like that. Another cool thing about this combo right here is that you can flip-flop these, and now it's gonna have a totally different sound to it. I think one of the best things about this plugin is not the fact that it reverses your samples and changes the order of the chords for you and all that other stuff, but honestly the best part about it is using it within your mixing like plugin chain, because like I showed you there, not only does it affect the actual sample, it affects everything that you feed into it, and that includes all of the plugins that come before it too. Basically, when you put plugins into this little sidebar thing, the plugin that you put in will affect everything above it in that order. So if you put the retrograde plugin on the bottom, it's going to affect all the other effects you have on there. So it's going to do crazy stuff to the tails of your reverb, to the halftime like I just showed you, to RC20 if you put that on there. So there's tons of different weird, wacky, silly, crazy stuff you can do with this plugin. So now obviously we got to try this on some vocals or something. Oh my god, I think I just summoned a demon with that one right there. So obviously you probably wouldn't use it like that for vocals, but a more applicable way would be to use it like this.
Been laying low, waiting for the payroll. Once I get it, know I got it, I ain't never letting go. Well,
you can kind of hear in the background the little bits of reversed vocals are just bouncing around, and it just adds a cool little layer in there. Some people might like it, some people might not. There's other different things you can do with it. I'm just kind of showing you guys the options that you have here. So now honestly, one of the last things I can think of to test is to use it on some guitar while playing the guitar live. Why is it not working? Bruh, come on. It's a little bit sus. Alright, honestly, I'm a little disappointed. Basically, anytime I switch the plugin on, it turns off anything that I have inputted to that track. So as you can see, works perfectly fine, but once I turn the plugin on, so yeah, obviously Simon doesn't want me doing that with the plugin. He was like, no, you're not gonna plug in your guitar and put the plugin on it, that's for sure. Obviously, I know that's not how the plugin's meant to be used, but how else are we gonna find out about these, you know, little shortcomings of the plugin, unless you got someone like me, a guy like me who's gonna do weird stuff with it, you know? So the way that I'm probably gonna like to use the plugin the most is not like reversing the whole sample. What I'm gonna do is probably turn the mix way down like this, and then sync these to maybe like 1/4 or 1/8 or like 1/2. Just a really nice ambience as opposed to this. So that's probably going to be my preferred way to use the plugin. I think that's probably the best method. Honestly, my only complaint with the plugin is that thing I mentioned earlier, where the reversing effect doesn't start right away when you play it. So you'll just have the regular sample for like a bar and then it'll start reversing. So let me know if you guys have figured out a way to get around that. The only way that I can think of is to just render out this whole thing like this, and then just taking the second part, because when it gets around to playing your sample again, it will actually be reversed. So yeah, honestly, there's not a whole lot I have left to say about the plugin. I think I've done pretty much all I can do with it. A little disappointed that I couldn't use it on my guitar, but maybe that'll come in a bug fix later on. Maybe that'll be in Retrograde 2.0 or something, I don't know. So my final thoughts on the plugin is that it's a really cool idea, and I like the idea that you can make different type of effects with reversing the sample that you have. To be honest, I don't really think it's a plugin that I'll use all the time or anything, but it's definitely something that I'll go to if I need a quick little effect. Definitely for some more ambient type sounds, some ambient like pads or ARP sounds, it's gonna sound really, really cool. It's also definitely tailored towards more making trap beats and stuff. However, you could definitely definitely use it for other purposes as well. Like I was showing, you can do different effects with it, pairing it with some tape stop and different stuff like that. It's just a really neat little effects plugin. It's going to give you some very unique sounds, and it's not really like any other plugin that's out there. So yeah, that is just about going to do it for my little review of Retrograde here. Shout out to Simon Servida for actually sending me a copy of the plugin here. That was super dope. Make sure you guys go check out the plugin. Also, make sure you guys check out my Instagram and my SoundCloud down in the description below, along with a playlist of songs I produced, my feezo, my Discord, all that stuff. feezostore.com. You guys already know the drill, and I will see you guys next time.
Woke up, thought that I was dreaming. She was in these streets and she was fiending, making sure that I was never leaving. Smoking gas that got me healing.